All right. Hello, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. This is DFS Army's NBA pre-lock show. You got me here today going solo. I think this is the first time this season I've done a solo show. We used to do this all day, every day, but it's nice having guests, but nothing wrong with going back to the OG style. We have 4 games on deck tonight, so we can take our time. We don't have to rush. I'll get to your questions. We'll kind of talk through the slate. I'll talk through what I'm doing. I'll talk through other just potential spots that you all might be interested in as well. Good to see you guys in the chat. Steven, blessings and prosperity to all. Erica, good to see you as well. Let's make it a good one. I agree. Cujo, good to see you as well. Chad, screw uppers. I'm kidding. I love that guy. Cedric, good to see you as well, man. Let's make this happen. Let's talk about last night. Was not the best slate for me, to be honest. It wasn't like the worst, but just wasn't profitable. But I know there are some guys in the Discord who did well. Some of the guys I've reached out to, they had good nights. So I'm glad y'all did well. I think the guy who screwed me over last night, I'm trying to remember. I couldn't even tell y'all. But there were definitely a nice mix of good plays and bad plays. For me, it was just move on to the next one. Buckeyes, you had that takedown for the night slate. I think you were with me. Like, you were struggling on the main slate. You doubled down to the night slate and had a freaking awesome takedown. Love to see that. I know Scott, one of the DFS Army members, he had a takedown too that was like $1,200, which was sweet. Yes, the governor. You're right. Richard. He's the one who screwed me over. But gotta move on. We gotta move on. That did hurt a little bit. Yep, I'm with you too, MPJ. It was definitely a lot of pain when it came to Richard. First things first, though, on tonight's slate. This Clippers versus Magic game has the lowest total on the slate, so, it always makes me a little apprehensive to love a spot for these guys. And then the Clippers going up against the Magic, most people will think through this as like, okay, Magic are usually a pretty good defensive team, but this season they haven't been quite as good as they usually are. Both of these teams play at a little bit of a slower pace, and so that's why you're seeing that lower total. The thing that keeps both of these teams more viable than they typically would be are injuries. For the Clippers tonight, Kawhi Leonard is out, Derrick Jones Jr. is out. There's some other guys out like Bradley Beal and Jordan Miller, but they don't really move the needle as much as guys like Kawhi and Derrick Jones Jr. do at this point. Saying Derrick Jones Jr. moves the needle is really weird, but it's true at this point. I just don't think the Clippers are getting enough attention on this slate. I understand it's a low total, but these guys are still not in an awful spot. James Harden, to me, is one of my favorite pay-up options on this slate. The Magic have really struggled against guards, and so he's someone I just want to see in a good amount of my lineup. So I have a 30% min on him there. Zubac hurt me a little last time out, but I still like, and honestly, the matchup is not great. The Magic have been better against front courts just in general. And the thing I like about Zubac is his price tag, his usage here recently has been strong. And then Wendell Carter Jr. is an undersized center. So when you have a center that can be a bit more aggressive, that's where I'm more open to taking shots on guys like Zubac. So he's someone that I'm going to have leverage on the field on. I didn't write him up as a leverage play. I was close, but I ended up just putting a 23% min on him just to have a little bit of leverage over the field there. Also, the sim model likes him too. Let's double check that. 7,400. We see Zubac. Oh, that's a lie. The sim model doesn't like him. I think that's why I didn't make him a leverage play. So let's toss that out the window. If he was a leverage play for me, he would probably be around 30%. So 23% is me kind of keeping the middle ground there. John Collins has sucked, man. He's been god-awful. He's someone I thought would perform better in this spot. The minutes have been solid. He hasn't had that high usage game yet. And just because he hasn't shown it to us so far this season doesn't mean it won't happen. We see weird things happen in sports that don't make sense all the time. I still like his price tag at 5,300, but not enough to force leverage here. I just put a 10% min to make sure he shows up in my lineups. if he does wake up tonight, but not a play I love too much. The guy I like, the guy who is a leverage play, is Bogdan Bogdanovic. I don't understand why his ownership is so low on this slate when we know he has 30 to even 40 point fantasy upside and he's 4,200. And the matchup's not as tough as it looks. I feel like I'm missing something. SimModel likes him too. We go to 4,200 down here. Look at Bogdanovic. There is no one who has as much upside in this price range. We see 3.43%. There's nobody else close. So this was a pretty easy leverage play for me. I'm okay with more than 30%. If you want to go higher, I think 30 to 40 is a solid range. But he's the guy I'm really taking a stand on here. Kobe Sanders is fine. I just wanted to trust the DS here and see how much Kobe I get naturally. I think if you don't have any mins, you should get probably like closer to field weight exposure on Kobe, probably around like 20 to 25%. Like I said, I don't feel overly passionate about having Kobe Sanders exposure tonight. So I didn't do anything, and he's only showing up in 5% of my lineups. But if you don't do anything, the DS likes him. So you can trust that if you would like to. Tattoo, good to see you, man. Showtime, I see you, brother. Raheem, appreciate you as well. Yeah. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. That freaking sucked. Yeah, we have a nice 4-gamer on deck. Zolo, good to see you, man. I feel like it's been a bit. Jules, yeah, I feel solid about this slate too, which I always say means absolutely nothing, but there are a lot of good vibes here, so I'm loving it. All right, and that's pretty much it for the Clippers for me. I understand Batum at 3,400, seeing roughly like 20 plus minutes these days of Kawhi out. I just couldn't get there. There's some other spots I like a bit more. Collins is completely optional. I will not. If you decide to not take a shot on Collins at 5,300, I don't think you're doing anything wrong on this slate. For me, I think about what would piss me off the most, and it's if he finally wakes up when I don't play him. So for me, if there's a player who I think is in a good spot and he hasn't performed, I usually just keep playing him, especially if I think the spots are still good. And this is a spot I feel like is still good. He hasn't not seen any minutes, and so therefore not getting any leverage here. I'm just, hey, 10% min. If he goes off, I should still be in a good spot. John, thank you for keeping us on track. Let's move on. We have the Magic going up against the Clippers here. For the Magic tonight, we have Paolo Banchero out still. We saw it last time. Tristan de Silva usually starts in this spot. Last game, we saw Bane have the really strong game. But Franz is really the guy who sees the highest increase in usage. So I don't love picking on the Clippers. I do think Franz and Bane, they have upside for days, but their ownership feels a little elevated to me. So, and there's just other spots I like a bit more on this slate. And so I'm not prioritizing them. I put a 10% min on Franz, 10% min on Bane. I'm going to be under the field. I'm just giving myself a chance to still be alive on a 4-game slate if they do go off. But if they fail, I'm still sitting pretty. So that was my game plan there. De Silva, I have an 8% min on. Like I said, him moving into the starting lineup, 5K, just a value play I like having some exposure to. And then Brandon, what's up, man? Surprise guest. You thought I was by myself. I am not. How are you doing? Good to have you.
I'm good. Sorry, guys. Little late day, and traffic was horrible. But fortunately, it was a small slate, and I was able to catch up pretty quickly. So,
hey, better late than never. I love it. We just finished up with the Clippers, but were there any Clippers that stood out for you?
Yeah, I was kind of listening to you cover what you had, and I'm pretty close. Love Harden tonight. He's in great form and clearly one of the best, if not the best, pay up options tonight. So as of now, he will be a core play for me. I didn't go too high on Zubac. I just put a 10% min, mainly because it's just a smaller slate and he does have that 50-point upside. So I feel like I need a little exposure there. Still can't get on the Collins train. Keep mentioning he's a guy I used to love taking shots on because he had some great games for Utah. But until I see one good game out of him, I'm not doing it. And then I definitely agree with you on Bogdanovic. I really don't understand this ownership, especially on a 4-game slate. It makes zero sense to me. So have a 30% man, and I'm currently at 35%, and definitely wouldn't mind a little more than that, especially at 4,200 and the amount he's playing as well. And then Kobe, I did put a 20% min on him just to make sure I'm getting some exposure to him, mainly just due to his price and the amount of minutes he's seen as well. He makes me a little more nervous than Bog, of course, but I think there is a world where he can do well at this price tag. So wanted some exposure there and didn't really get anywhere else.
See, that's what we were missing, the voice of reason. We needed someone else to balance out my John Collins take. Because it's crazy. I will openly admit that it is crazy.
There is a game that coming where he will
Yeah.
probably break a slate, but I just have to see it first. Like I'm okay not having him for his first breakout game, so I'm just gonna live with it.
And I'm glad someone else is here to also mention Kobe, because at his ownership, if he goes off and I don't have a lot, that's just not great. So that's just one of the stands I'm taking, but I totally understand taking the shot on him. I think the last guy who I didn't get to here is I do have a 10% min on Anthony Black. He's just someone who he has an increasing usage with guys like Palo out. He's been more involved. And so he's just someone I want to have exposure to. And then Suggs was showing up a good amount by himself, but of course, with the changes I've made, he's now basically non-existent. Oh, no, there he is. He's at 57% of my lineups, and that's about doing anything to him. And so I like that. That's a little bit of leverage there for me, and Suggs is just a play I do believe in. What are your thoughts on the Magic tonight?
Yeah, I'll start with Suggs. He's going to be one of the chalkier guys tonight. He just makes a lot of sense at 6K with what they're missing. He's been pretty solid overall for his price. He's been getting anywhere between 30 to 40 fantasy points. So as long as he can continue to do that, he should be a good play at this price. We finally saw a breakout game for Bane. I think the other night where you were saying like how you did well and then others didn't. I was one of them that didn't have a good night. It's just because I faded Bane. I think I saw Bane was in a lot of winning lineups. So probably not going to force him in still, even though he had a great game. Consistency is what I'm looking for from guys like him. So actually, let me see if I'm getting any naturally. I was earlier, but he might have fell off. Yeah. Yes, I don't have any Bane at the moment, which is a bit scary, but
it's fine.
I'm going to take the stand there. And then I've been fading Franz for quite a while now. I'm going to do it again tonight. Like he hasn't been making value at all. I keep saying the same thing every slate. Could happen tonight, but again, another stand I'm taking. So I'm not going to talk anyone off of either Bane or Franz because those two, along with Suggs, they're going to have majority of the usage. So there's a possibility for them to like have a ceiling game tonight, but I just like taking certain stands, and I'll continue to do that with Franz. Wendell, I do like. I still think he is priced too cheap. He is in good form. I'm getting quite a bit of him naturally, which I don't hate. I'm at 45% there. And then I did put a 10% min on Black and De Silva. They both are just playing pretty solid basketball right now. And on a 4-game slate, I just feel like those are two guys you probably need exposure to tonight because both of them probably won't go off, but I feel like at least one of the two will. So just kind of covering my bases with those two and not really getting anywhere else here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think a good way of summarizing my thoughts on the Magic are that I like Suggs. I'm willing to prioritize him. I like Wendell Carter Jr. I'm willing to prioritize him. I have a 20% min on him to make sure I at least match the field. Ideally, he'll show up in slightly more lineups than that, around like 21 to 25. But then under on guys like Franz and Bane, just 10% mins. And then De Silva and Black, not overly passionate about them either, just kind of matching the field there just to kind of make sure I have some exposure. So not the sexiest game. There's just a couple of pieces I really like, and then others who are just more lineup fillers for me. All right, next up, we have the game where things get interesting. We have the Hawks going up against the Spurs. We said it last slate. The Spurs team is just nowhere near as scary with all the guys they have out. For the Hawks side, though, they have Trae Young out, and then we have big pieces of injury news that impact things pretty dramatically. Porzingis is still questionable. Risase is still questionable. Unless we got that news. Did I miss anything there?
Yeah, I was going to say, I still don't think we've gotten that news yet, which is
that's
huge.
That's big. We should get it around 6:30 with this. This game kicks off at 7, right? Yeah. It kicks off at 8. Damn. Okay. So I'll cover it. Porzingis, if he's out, huge boost to our guy Okongwu. We've seen this enough times where I'm not going to question that. He's someone who I'm willing to make a priority. If Risase is out, I know Krejci was not great or kind to us last time out, but he's still the guy who sees the highest increase in minutes and usage when Risase is off the court, so he's someone who I'll make a priority. Outside of that, there's not really too many changes with the injury news that might happen. Who do you like here?
So as of now, of course, a lot of these other players are dependent on which way the news is going to go. But as of now, I'm going to like Jalen Johnson either way. This dude is just a beast. He's balling right now, especially without Trae. He's the guy. All the usage goes through him, or most of the usage goes through him first. His floor has been very good lately, and we know his upside is endless. We saw one game where he put up 90 plus fantasy points. Love this matchup. No Wemby. He should have an even easier time in this spot. So have a 30% min there. I want to be significantly over the field. I think.
On who? I missed
Jalen Johnson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Good. I think with his upside on a 4-gamer, 17% is just criminal to me. So love him. And as of now, I'm not getting anywhere else until we get the news.
Yeah. I'm with you. I have a 30% min on Jalen Johnson. He's a leverage play for me. I wrote him up on that sheet. I can't say enough good things. We've been on him for a good bit here. Matchup just, once again, isn't as tough as it looks on paper. And then I have an 8% min on Porzingis. I'm okay having, and I like having exposure to him when he plays. We just don't know yet. And if we don't get any news, I just don't want to forget about him. So I put an 8% min there. And that's it for now. We just kind of have to wait and see on the rest. No other Hawk is showing up in my lineup so far.
All right. Yeah. Everybody's just so priced up appropriately for the scenario now. So it's kind of hard to squeeze much more value out of most of these guys.
Yeah. Nall was my guy for a while. Dyson Daniels was my guy for a while. And they're just priced appropriately now. So they're just a lot less exciting. They're still like viable, maybe for like a last spot for like a single entry, but their floor is just, or really more like their ceiling is just a bit capped at this point in this matchup as well. Other side of this game, we have the Spurs. We talked about it. These guys are missing important players. Wembanyama is out. Castle is out. McLaughlin, Harper, these guys are out. Usually, I would be very comfortable going back to De'Aaron Fox after disappointing us. But going up against Dyson tonight, hard pass for me there. Vassell, I do think there's still enough meat on the bones for him to still have upside at 6,600. Not enough for me to make sure I'm extremely over the field, but I do like having a 10% min on him. But his ownership has gone up. I like him enough. I'll increase it to 15 to match the field. Second highest total game on the slate. Close spread. I need exposure to this team tonight. And then there's more changes and guys I will force in. But, Brandon, I kind of skipped over you here. Who do you like?
I'll start with Keldon. I like him quite a bit at his price. He's put up back-to-back games over 30 fantasy points. So he is kind of what I'm looking for as I'm building lines. He makes things work at small forward and power forward. So like the flexibility with him. And now how he's performing. Vassell has kind of been meh, but like I said last time, behind Fox, he has the second highest upside on the slate. So in a game, in a situation like this against Atlanta, that's a bit more fast-paced and typically games against them are high scoring, and especially if Dyson is more so on Fox, there's definitely a world where Vassell could break the slate tonight. Definitely get the fade and Fox thing. I know he disappointed everybody last time out, but I am still going to take a shot there. I am afraid of Dyson. That dude's one of the best defenders in the league, but just with all these guys missing, especially Wemby now, I think all the usage still goes through Fox first, and he does have 50 to 60 point upside. So Dyson is scary, but I'm willing to play the stud after Doug narrative with him. And then Harrison Barnes, can't believe I'm saying this, but I do have a 5% min there. I couldn't really bring myself to 10%, but he's another guy where back-to-back games he's put up solid performances for 5,200. So if he does more of the same, he'll be a great play, and he plays a ton too. So willing to take a shot there, but nothing too crazy. And then probably one of my favorite sneaky plays on this slate is Kelly O.
Oh, yeah.
Called him out last time. Put up 24 fantasy points, I think, again, which it'd be nice if we can see a little closer to 30, but feel like on a slate like this, if he does more of the same, he could definitely be in the nuts as well. So I'm going a bit more aggressive on him and have a 20% min there. So I do like him quite a bit.
Yeah, it's so weird because my usual steps all lead up to Fox. And I agree. I think he's a really solid play. I just can't pull the trigger tonight. What are you doing with Maxey? I know we're kind of fast forwarding. Are you playing Maxey?
Yes, I'm playing Maxey too.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm just picking my poison there. He'll go off. I'll celebrate for you guys. Yeah. It's just going to be a pass for me.
If I had to pick, it would be Maxey over Fox for sure.
Yeah. So 15% min for me with Vassell. Keldon Johnson will show up for most of you all by himself. He did not show up for me because of some of the mins I have. So I put a 20% min on him just to be a little bit closer to field weight. And I'm matching the field on Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes was someone I was not on last time out, but he's actually the guy who sees the highest increase in usage with guys like Wemby and Castle out, which surprised the hell out of me, to be honest. But now that there's some actual numbers behind it and we saw his production last time out, you show me enough trends, I'm not going to be against things that just make sense. So 8% min there. Sohan is someone I want exposure to. I have a 10% min there. I just like his price tag. He's a value play, has upside if he gets hot. Not someone I trust a ton, but want him in the mix. And then I'm with you, Brandon. I love Kelly O. I don't think I went as high as you, but I do think he's a really strong play. I have an 11% min on him. Slightly over the field, but nothing crazy. And then I think that's it. Let me see if anyone else kind of snuck into these lineups. It doesn't look like it. And so I'm fine with it. Okay. Next up, we have the highest total on the slate. Two god-awful teams going up against each other. And there's enough injuries all around to keep everybody interesting. Domantas Sabonis, he's out for this game. And that's really the main thing there. For me, I have not been playing a lot of Russell Westbrook, but he's been good. At this point, we just can't really argue it. He's had 49 fantasy points on the 14th against Minnesota, 38 against the Spurs, 35 against OKC. Those are difficult matchups. This is not a difficult matchup. The minutes are there. The usage is there. I'm going to have exposure here. I know a lot of people don't like Westbrook, but for me, everything is pointing towards him, and so I'm not going to ignore it. I have a 20% min on him, but ownerships have shifted a bit. I don't have to go that strong. I'll have a 15% min just to be slightly over the field. DeMar DeRozan, I can't do it. 7,300 just feels a little pricey for the production he's had recently. He's been uninvolved. Can he get hot? Yeah, we just haven't seen it in a long time. So I'm not going to force exposure there. If he shows up, he does, but he hasn't so far. Zach LaVine is someone I want to be over the field on. Always scares the hell out of me, but I usually lean towards him over DeRozan. So I have an 8% min there. And then Dennis Schroeder, we know what he can do. 5,700 price tag. Fantastic matchup. Just need the minutes to be there, which they have been. and they should be again tonight. So 10% min there, and then 7% min on Malik Monk. Similar player to Schroeder. They both kind of split minutes. That's why you don't see 30 plus there, but they're priced appropriately and in a soft enough matchup where I'm willing to prioritize them. Do you like any of these guys, or am I losing it?
I wish I liked this team as much as you did, especially going against Memphis. Right now, I'm targeting 2 with a potential third that I might throw a 10% min on, but I'll start with Westbrook first. He should be the guy with majority of the usage. Memphis is just missing a lot right now. It's going to be a super soft matchup, so I think this could be one of his games where he racks up a lot of rebounds and does his thing with scoring and attacking the rim quite a bit. So definitely don't mind a shot there. I have a 15% min. Schroeder, I have a 10% min on. Just love his price, and again, great matchup. He's had 3 back-to-back games where he scored at least 30 fantasy points. So he's currently in good form. So definitely think he can be somebody sneaky as well. The only other guy I'm considering is Malik Monk, just due to his price. We haven't seen like any crazy ceiling games from him yet, like we have in the past, but this is definitely a spot where that can happen. So willing to force some of him in, but Levine and DeRozan are just so damn inconsistent. Like I love the spot for him, but like Levine especially, last 2 games he's put up like 13 fantasy points one game, and a game before 16. So his floor is just way too scary for me. And DeRozan, his most recent performances haven't been as bad as Levine, but this dude's floor is pretty scary too. So they're both very frustrating for DFS purposes, but would I be surprised if either one of them broke the slate tonight? No. So I just say play them at caution if you do go there. But I don't think I can. And yeah, these other guys further down they're pretty gross too. So just Westbrook and Schroeder for me, and I guess Monk, a little bit of Monk. Oh, I can't hear you. I don't know if that's just me or not.
I'm on mute. There we go.
Okay, there we go.
I don't know how that happened. But yeah, you're right. DeRozan has been inconsistent as hell. His floor is rough, just like Levine's, but there's been a lot less ceiling. Whereas at least with Levine, there's still like 40, 50 point upside, and we've seen that recently. But yeah, I mean, outside of the last 2 games, right before that was like a 40-point fantasy game. So like the ceiling and the floor, the extremes are very present with guys like Levine and DeRozan.
Yeah, I laughed last game too because there was one point where they first submitted their starting lineup. Levine was coming off the bench, but they quickly changed it back. So I was like, well, yeah, he kind of deserves it for how he's been playing. But
yeah, you can't be mad at it.
Yeah.
Craig, you're in with DeRozan tonight? All right, man. I see you. All right. Next up, we have Memphis going up against the Kings tonight. This is where the matchup is extremely soft and everybody's super cheap. Memphis, they have no Ja Morant. Jaren Jackson Jr. is doubtful. Everyone's minutes and usage goes up to the ceiling. The biggest beneficiary is Aldama. We saw Vince Williams start last time out, 5,300. He's still too cheap. This is the team I'm building around tonight. I have a 50% min on Cedric Coward. He has disappointed us at times, but again, Sacramento is the worst defense in the NBA. Softest matchup these guys will get all season. This is the spot I want to attack. So 50% min there. 30% min on Zach Edey. Again, love this spot for him without Ja Morant. I like Zach Edey a good amount last year in spots like this, and so this is one I just want to go back to and be over the field. Guys like Aldama and Vince Williams Jr., they show up right now in 97 and 92% of my lineups. Those are the 2 stands I'm taking on this slate. Nezzy, I know you've been around enough, and I know the Clemson logo. I know you.
Say, whenever I see Clemson, I know that's Nezzy.
I know it's you, man. But yeah, that's the thing. I'm never against people having different viewpoints. I honestly prefer it when people are like, "Hey, I hear you, but I'm gonna still do what I believe in," because I just think that's the way you should play DFS. Like, never follow anyone blindly. It makes me so sick. But good. All right, Aldama, Vince, core plays for me, and then Cam Spencer. He typically comes off the bench. His minutes aren't as secure as guys like Vince Williams and Santi Aldama, but in a great matchup, 4,500, 24 minutes is enough for me to want to make sure I'm over the field. He also is a high points per minute player, so he's doing a lot of things while he's out there. And so, yeah, 20% min there. Jalen Wells is a similar story to Cam Spencer, but without he does a lot while he's out there. He's typically doing the bare minimum. And so I just have an 8% min on him because it's a soft spot, but he's not someone I'm going to be extremely over the field on. What do you think about here?
Yeah, this is the team of the night for sure, with Jaren out now as well. They're missing a ton of guys here. So definitely one of my favorite teams to load up on. So Aldama and Vince, they're the obvious plays. They're both in great form. Currently at 100% on both of them. So I'm just loading up and kind of moving on from those two. Coward, I do have a 30% min on as well, just to make sure he doesn't fall below that. He is a bit scary to play behind Aldama and Vince, but we have seen that upside there. So definitely want some even more with Jaren out. Edie as well, great points per minute guy, should benefit as well. And then kind of what you said on Cam, he's kind of one of those volatile turds on this team, but he is going to see a lot of minutes and run. So at 4,500 on a 4-game slate in this kind of spot, he's somebody you want exposure to. So have a 20% min there, and Jalen kind of falls into that category as well, but again, not overly confident and don't feel good playing them. So just a 10% there, not going too aggressive. And then another guy I'm targeting is Jock Landale. I would feel a bit better if he saw more minutes. He has to worry about Edie now being back, of course, but just with no Jaren and then Sabonis is out on the other end, I think there's a world where Jock can be sneaky too. So at 4%, just wanted to take a shot for someone with upside to pay this price tag off when no one else is really playing them. So 5% min there. So yeah, I like almost everyone on this team minus KCP.
Yeah, and I even thought about KCP for half a second, but the ownership made it really easy for me to not consider it. I like that Jock Landale call. I don't think I'm going to follow it, but it makes sense. I understand how you got there. Let's see. Does anyone else show up by themselves here? Nah, I was kind of hoping to see a little bit like 5% Jock Landale and say, hey, it just happened naturally. All right, next up, we have the last game on the slate, 223.5 total, -1.5 spread. Sixers against the Bucks. And, it's not an NBA slate if there's not injury news to talk about. So for the Sixers tonight, Philadelphia, Joel Embiid is out still. Kelly O is still out. See a nice boost to guys like Grimes, Edwards, BJ when that happens. Embiid, Bona out, which continues to keep Drummond in the mix of conversations we have to have. What's your game plan here?
Yeah, I like quite a few guys here. I'll start with Drummond. We know what he does. Great points per minute, guys. His minutes have been pretty locked in at this point. He's been hovering around that 30 to 40 fantasy point range. So 6,400, still priced greatly in this kind of spot. VJ, I did put a 20% min on. Makes me a little more worried with him because Paul George. Or is Paul George in? I thought he was.
Yeah, he's playing.
Okay, there he is. He was all the way at the bottom of my screen. But yeah, makes me a little nervous to go back to him with Paul in, but I still love his price tag. And even with Paul back and on his minutes limit, VJ will still see a lot of runs. So love this matchup and again, love the price. Maxi, I'm just going to keep attacking. Love the matchup again, like I said. And usually with no Embiid, I feel a little more comfortable playing him with him over this 10K price range. So I have a 15% min there. And then Quentin Grimes, again, he's somebody else who makes me nervous with PG back in the rotation, but again, decent price and has shown upside in the past. So I have a 15% min there. So those are the four I'm targeting tonight.
Yeah. For me, I have a 15% min on Maxi because he's one of the pay op options I just want to have some exposure to. I was really between Maxi and Fox and just landed on Maxi. You don't have to do that. You can play all of them and be fine. This is one of the weird things I like to do on smaller slates is usually just avoid one stud and just kind of have a favorite and either exceed value or match value on the rest. So that was my game plan there with Maxi. Paul George definitely looked a little rusty last time out. He was on a minutes limit. It looks like we're expecting him to continue to be on that minutes limit of around like 21 to 23 minutes. I think that's correct. At his price tag, I just can't do it. Even in the Bucks played a pretty slow pace as well. They're not a tough defense; they're just slow, and so he's not going to stand out for me here. Andre Drummond, I have a 31% minimum on. I want to be over the field on him. He's probably the sixer I trust the most in this spot. Grimes, I have a 10% minimum on just because he is a bit more involved with guys like Helio out, but I don't trust it, so I'm not really getting any leverage or anything like that yet. It's just a 10% min. If he shows up more, that's just because the DS likes him. And then I have a 20% min on BJ. I'm with you, though. I almost didn't put the min on him because BJ has shown when there's other guys here, he can sometimes easily just kind of take a back seat and out there doing his role and not really kind of taking advantage of situations that are in front of him. So at 6K, it's still worth me matching the field. I put a 20% min there, but it's a bit of a sketchy spot. We saw a good amount of upside yesterday, but it makes me nervous. Anyone else here? No. But I don't hate this team. Only real priority, though, for me is Drummond. Next up, we have the Bucks. The Bucks, of course, also have some guys out. Giannis, we found out randomly yesterday, is going to be out for a minute, which I was like, okay, I don't know where the hell that came from, but I guess we're here for it. I kind of miss when it was like an automatic, hey, Bobby Portis and other guys are really going to pop in this spot, but it's been kind of lackluster here recently. Who do you like here?
Yeah, I'll start with Ryan Rollins. He's just a guy we've seen multiple time in and time out. When Giannis misses, he just does well. I wish he was a bit cheaper, but I'm just going to play him. I have a 30% min. And we say all the time we love attacking this Philly team. They're another team who plays at a faster pace and typically have high-scoring games. So definitely don't mind exposure there. And then only other one I was really confident in was Miles Turner. He's another guy who has nice upside when Giannis is out. And I was kind of hoping the field was sleeping on him a bit more. But with it being a 4-gamer, I definitely understand why he's at 20%. But he's typically someone on bigger slates where everybody forgets about him. He puts up a 40, 50-point game, and everyone wishes that they played him. So just love the way he plays. He does a little bit of everything. So have a 20% min there. And then Cole Anthony, I was considering not having any, but I put just a 10% min on him. When Rollins isn't in, he kind of runs the offense for the second unit. And if he can get hot from the three for sure, he has decent upside for his price tag. But he's just another one of those value plays that is a little volatile and not too consistent. So I didn't feel strong enough in him to go any higher, but at least wanted some exposure. And then everybody else, I'm not even going to say their names, one in particular, but
yeah,
couldn't get there.
Craig, man, I appreciate it. And you're right. If you all are not a DFS Army member, you should be. I feel like everyone who's watching this show, though, is a DFS Army member. Not going to lie. It's a Thursday. A lot of people are focusing on football. So it also, all we do is talk about the DS. And so, like, if you're watching this show and you're not a member, I appreciate you because I don't know what you're really getting out of it. But click the link in the description if you aren't. Join us. Join the Discord. Join Nezzy's DK contest. It's been a lot of fun. So yeah, use promo code BDUB for a 10% discount. BDUBB. I'm with you on a lot of this. The Bucks are in a great spot. I have a 35% min on Rollins. Not overthinking that. I like being over the field there. I'm not playing Kuzma. Screw that guy at this point. I'm glad he's 6,900. I hope they make him 8K so I can literally never think of him again. Miles Turner, I have a 20% min on, but I like him enough to have a little bit of leverage on the field. So I'm going to put a 25% min on him to create that small amount of edge. Bobby Portis hasn't done jack shit so far with Giannis out. But he's cheaper than Kuzma. He's someone that, still... I don't have a great reason for playing Bobby Portis. I'm going to be honest here. I have a 5% min on him because it's one of those what if happens type of scenarios. So I'm not going to be over the field, not matching the field, just 5% to have some exposure. The exact same situation with Gary Trent Jr. Gary Trent and Cole Anthony are very similar to me. They both are willing to take shots. And so I want exposure to guys who are willing to take shots on an offense right now that is almost incapable of making shots. The main difference between Cole Anthony and Gary Trent Jr. right now is that Cole Anthony is making his shots more often than not. And so Cole Anthony's the one I have a 20% min on. I'll be slightly over the field there. But like you mentioned, he is volatile. He's not someone you can trust. And then Gary Trent Jr., just a 5% min. I don't love him. He's just someone I like having in the mix as a value play. So that's the game plan there. What's up, Kevin? Wagwan? Yeah, Darius, I'm with that. Gary Trent, he's just playable. I'm not overly excited about it, but last game on the slate, close spread. I wanted to take a shot with someone who, has treated us well in the past and has shown he has upside. Yeah, never again. I'm not even thinking about him until he's 5K. Then I probably will. All right. So that's the slate in a nutshell, guys. I know there are a couple of questions that we can touch on.
We did get the news that Ricochet and Porzingis are in.
Okay, good. So I'm gonna keep the 8% min on Porzingis and don't really have to worry about anybody else. I'll take that. I like it when there's not any insane last minute news. We haven't had that in a minute. Can't decide on Bane. Showtime, honestly, I think it's fine to pass on Bane. I have a 10% min on him just to have some exposure, but I'm still gonna be under the field. I don't know if you're 20 maxing today. If you're 20 maxing, I wouldn't force any Bane. If you're 150 maxing, I don't think a 10% min's the end of the world, but he's not a priority for me on this slate. Let's see. Any love for PG? I couldn't get there. You, Brandon?
No, he's too expensive for the minutes he's playing.
The governor said Johnson or Maxey last piece. For me, is Johnson. What do you think?
Agreed.
Okay. And then James the Badger said best at each position. I'll go first. Literally, it's James Harden for me, but he's the pay-up option. If you want the cheaper version, it's Ryan Rollins. I like Bogdan enough to say Bogdan here. I don't really love the shooting guard position, so I'm probably just going to keep it as Bogdan. Maybe a bit of a safer floor VJ, but a little sketchy. Small forward will be Cedric Howard for me as of right now, but I think it really is Vince Williams as like the stronger play if you're looking at it from like a single entry standpoint. Power forward will be Aldama for me, and then last but not least is going to be Drummond at center, but Edie's a close second. What are your thoughts, Brandon?
Yeah, only thing I would add for point guard is Suggs, but pretty much in the same boat with everyone else.
Yeah. Nancy, I like De Silva too. I don't think I'm like over the field, but anytime you have someone so cheap starting, I like being close to field weight. I don't think that's a bad call. I have Anthony Black exposure. I'm matching the field. I have 10%. I don't feel strongly about him. I know he had a strong game last time out. It feels like chasing a bit, to be honest. I think that's why I'm not making him too much of a priority. But what do you think, Brennan?
Yeah, I have a 10% min as well. I don't think I would play him in like single entry or anything, but he's viable tonight.
Yeah. NYPJ777 said, thoughts on AJ Green? AJ Green, I didn't give any thought. Did
Yeah,
you,
as
Brandon?
I say, my thoughts are no thoughts. He didn't cross my mind once.
Yeah. Drummond exposure for me, I'm at 34%. Where are you, Brennan?
I am at 45%.
Sweet. And I'm going to do one more run. Right now, it's only making 149 lineups. Usually it fixes itself after a couple of seconds. So we'll see what changes there. But I'll be at least above where I am right now. I don't plan on going any lower than that. All right, y'all. That is the show. We're going to wrap up here. We won't be back tomorrow. Tournament Tactics will be at 5 p.m. Eastern for some NFL content. And then we'll be back on Monday to, get things started again for another week. There's Thanksgiving next week. Things are going to get a little spicy. They always get weird around the holidays. So I'm sure we're going to have a lot of random injuries that shake things up and keep it interesting. So good luck tonight. We'll see you in the Discord if you have any questions. Peace out.